What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about the current state of affairs in the crypto market right now. Altcoin markets in particular. We're going to be taking a look at the others chart, but before we do, hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. The purpose of this video is to discuss what the outlook is for the coming days, for the coming weeks, and then of course the month of March. End of this month of February and then the month of March. We're going to get into all that. So if that sounds good to you, hit the like button, subscribe. Let's go. Let's get into it. Okay, so here we are on the others chart. For those of you who are not aware as to what others is, if you type in others on TradingView, it is the crypto total market cap excluding the top 10. Now there's value in that, right? It's the top 10 cryptos are not included in this count up, in this lineup. Right, that means Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, all of these coins are taken out, right? And these are behemoths in the space. They should be paid attention to for sure. But when it comes to the altcoin markets, this can be a very generally good chart to use. And I'll prove it to you right now. The average coin that you hold, I don't even know what coin you're holding, but I would bet it dropped something around 10% yesterday. Why do I know that? That's because, well, that's what this says. It says negative 10.3%. So on average, not every coin, but on average, the altcoin markets dropped about 10% yesterday. Some of them dropped more, some of them dropped less. Just because they dropped less doesn't mean that they will outperform the rest. Just because they drop more doesn't mean that they're going to underperform the rest, right? But things are volatile right now. There could be a whole list of reasons as to why, but this is definitely a good metric as to measure what the average altcoin is going to do. So here, looks like we fell off a cliff a little bit. I don't know how reliable the volume is on these readings. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm not 100% sure how they conclude what level's what, because others, I mean, that's every altcoin, right? How do you determine the volume? Do you just take it from crypto market cap or CoinGecko or something? I don't know. So I'm not worried about the volume too much, right? But a low to a high, what I mean by that is the volume to me, it doesn't really have any weight in this chart because I don't know how valuable it is. I mean here, I don't know. Let's move on. Okay, let's just move on. Low to high. Low to high, you tore through your golden ratio here, right? You absolutely tore through it. Immaculate candle, and this is what I mean. Volume is irrelevant, right? Generally, with a candle like this, you look for volume, but I don't know how much of a role it plays in this chart, how accurate it is. But you tore right through your golden ratio. Consolidated here from a low to a high, consolidated between your 0.5 and your 236. Kind of odd consolidation for a long time. Really, for basically like the whole month of February, you did, and then you finally broke through to the downside. Now, my thoughts are when you consolidate for 3 weeks to 4 weeks, right, and you break through on the first day, my thoughts are it doesn't stop here. It probably continues onward, maybe for another week, maybe for at least another couple days, right? But I doubt that it stops here on day one. So, at a minimum, where I would expect you to go would be the 786 from here. I mean, you're very close, but the 786 at a minimum. It's very, very unlikely that you find support here and then start moving up. You can. I should reiterate that you could move up, back test this area of support for resistance and then break down, right? That's okay. But any kind of support found here, I don't assume to be long lived, right? The real support is going to be at the 786, 886 or lower. And I'm a fan of this or lower option, right? The 1272 right there at $200 billion, 200 billion. That's a nice psychological level of support to find across the markets, right? We could go a little bit lower, of course, but that's also very near an area where we found a low before. It would give us an overall higher low still. So I think that would be a nice area. 200 billion makes a lot of sense to me, especially when you consider the relative fibs that we're on now. By the way, generally speaking, when you break through your golden ratio like this on the first attempt, generally that does indicate that you will see something in the extended zone. So let's just measure from a percentage point what that could mean for the average altcoin. Again, it's not the entire space. Not every single coin is going to move down this much. Some will move down more, some will move down less, and some will even move up. Okay, 16%. 16% might be the entirety of the drop that we have left to go. And at the rate that we're dropping here, it could very well be by the end of this week, by the end of this month. It's the 25th today. It's the beginning of the 25th. We have 22 hours, 46 minutes left. Brand new day. And lower still is what I would think. Now, if we see a lower low than this, that's what would make sense. If we don't, if we double bottom, maybe we see an 8% drop in the market, still about almost 9% to be completely fair. 786 would be the minimum drop, and even that's about a 2.5%, 3% drop across the markets. I personally would, at this point, I feel safe considering that we could find support in this area. We could find support 5% to 2.5% down. That's not that bad, right? Some coins will drop more, some coins drop less, some coins will pump while we drop here, probably. and I'm okay. I'm fond of the idea of finding a double bottom too, but I'm also completely fine with this, and I accept this. And I mean, just by the way of the fibs, to me it seems more obvious that we would go to $200 billion. That seems like the obvious target, but it doesn't mean that we have to go there. If we look at the daily time frame on the RSI perspective, we have been living below the 50, getting oversold, not getting overbought, right? We came from the overbought zone, worked our way down to get to this oversold zone. We are getting into it again here. I don't think this is bullish divergence. I know that it's a low here and a higher low here, but I don't think it's bullish divergence. I think really we're just in a downtrend in the RSI, and now we're going to form either a lower low, and if we do form a lower low in the RSI, you bet your sweet you know what's that we are going to go to that 15 to 16% drop across the boards, and that again, that's what I'm suspicious of. But if we don't get oversold again, or at least I should say, if we don't see a lower low, if we just see something that's like this, we just skim into the oversold zone, then there really is a solid chance that we could find support here. A good way to identify that is once we get into the oversold zone on a daily basis, and you can do this yourself too, right? If you go here, indicators, nope, that's not an indicator. Indicators here, you type in REL, relative strength index, right? And then I set mine to a 10. You can have yours at a 14, whatever. But on the daily basis, when we get into the overbought zone, if we don't see a lower low than this, and then we get out of the overbought zone on a closing basis, if we get into it and then out of it, likely what we've just done there is we found support at the 786, 886. Getting into the overbought zone and then getting out of it sets us up for a bullish reversal, right? And being at the 786, 886 by consequence of going to the oversold zone, that also sets us up for a bullish reversal right there. We're finding support at a higher low at the 786 to 886 area, which we've done a lot this cycle. We'd also be finding support here at prior areas of resistance on this others chart as well. It's not as round of a number as 200 billion would be, but whatever, I mean, you found resistance here, that wasn't a round number. You found support here, that was just below that round number. A round number, psychologically speaking, is nice, and that's why it makes sense to me, but it's not a requirement, right? We don't have to drop that much. It's just, to me, what I should say about this $200 billion level is I would assume that's the extent of it. I personally, or if we go lower, just a little bit lower. Like I don't think the markets suffer a 20% or more drop from here, right? Earlier today, yes, but from now, I think now that amount is diminishing, right? It's lessening. Obviously, we've made quite the significant move down with the 10% move across the board already. If we look at the 4-hour time frame here, you are in the oversold zone on the 4-hour, right? And I just want to look. We've been a little bit consistent with it here. It looks like we're in a relative downtrend. Let's just find another one, right? So here, after being overbought, you got oversold here. The first instance of being oversold was basically this candle. Was that the end of it? No, you kept going down. And then even here, after you got out of the oversold zone, you started moving up. Was that the end of it? No, you still went lower and then moved up, okay? It's been a while since you've been oversold. Finally, you get oversold here on this candle. Was that the end of it? No, you went down for another 4 hours. And then you did find a little bit of support, to be fair, inevitably to go lower, but you're in an overall downtrend. So that's kind of how it is sometimes. You just got into the oversold zone on this candle. It's been about 6 hours since that candle. Maybe more like 5 hours, 5.5 hours since that candle. Could we be at our low? It's possible. It's possible, or at least very, very near it. Or, of course, we could have more to go. Just because we get out of this oversold area does not mean we can't go back into it. Does not mean that we can't see lower prices, right? Don't assume that. But if we do find support here at the 786, we get above the golden ratio. If we, on a daily aspect, get into the oversold zone on a closing basis and then back out of it the next day or another day or something like that, that could look really good. Specifically, those requirements need to be met if we find support at the 786, 886. We need to find support here and then close above 246 billion, the golden ratio. If we can do that, if you can find support here and then close above the golden ratio, if that gives you an oversold read in the daily RSI and then you get back out of it, that could be a very strong reversal signal there, you guys. That could be a signal that we have a double bottom, a higher low, or whatever you want to call it, and we're about to go up. We're not going to see anything too much more from here. And that's great. That'd be great. That'd be a good buying signal. I would love to see that. However, I am suspicious. I am under the assumption that we go a little bit lower. To me, 2.5% to 5% doesn't sound right. I think something on the lines of 8-9% more, if not 16%, that makes sense to me. So just putting you guys on notice, right? Not really so much alert. I think you're all on alert now. If you're not, you're just waking up or something, right? But just putting it on notice that we do have a little bit lower to go. I don't think it stops here, but whether that amount is relatively insignificant, like 2.5% to 5%, or is it a 16% drop from here? I don't know. I would assume some coins might start pumping from here. Some coins might drop more than 16%, right? It's not a generality for every single coin that exists, but it is a generality for most of them, right? I guess that's what generalities are. It's not something that's pinpointed to one exact thing or every exact thing. It's just a general kind of statement. So I don't know if I have anything else that I want to say. We could talk about the upside real quick, right? Because it's not all downside, my friends. This is, by the way, this is a very important moment in the markets to not mess things up, okay? Imagine last cycle. Well, this chart does it go back? Yeah, I mean, imagine last cycle here, right? You're consolidating for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, right? You're at your lows and you're just bored with the markets. You sell here, right? We have a lot of growth to go. It's not quite the same here, but we've been consolidating now for 3 months since this move up, right? We've got a little bit of a double bottom. This market has been a lot more lackluster. I'll give it to you, and this probably isn't even a fair comparison, right? This was around the halving time, or this is after the halving time. I suppose this point here would be more comparable to here, but we haven't had our breakout move yet, and that's the whole point that I'm trying to say here is it is not a bad time in the markets. It might be bad if you're buying coins at the highs and they're dumping, and then you rotate from that dumped coin, you put it into a coin that's at highs, and you just keep repeating the process. It might be bad, but we are at a point where we are about to break out and see new all-time highs, my friends. We really are. We really are. If we're looking at this on a monthly RSI, we are about at the 50 here. Bouncing off the 50 tends to be a really good thing. Not only would we bounce off the 50 if we find support here and start moving up in the month of March, we'd also have a double bottom on the monthly RSI. Very, very powerful stuff, right? You don't have to bounce right at the 50. You can find support a little bit below it. That's fine, right? Here we're doing it in reverse order. Lower first and then right at it. Here it was right at it and then lower first. And that was literally what kicked off the bull market last time, or the altcoin markets at least. I suspect that when it does come time to move up, whenever it does come time for us to see relief in the month of March coming up shortly, I think March will be green. It'll be so green that it'll engulf February, it'll engulf January and December. I expect that March will be the month that we've been looking for. It's going to be a bigger month, probably the biggest month that we've seen on an open to close basis since 2021, you guys. It's going to be the biggest one, the biggest monthly close that we've seen in 3.5 years, 4 years, something like that. It's going to be nuts. I think we were going to see March, the average altcoin is going to move up about 237% or more. That's my assumption. That's my suspicion. If we take a high to low here, just relative to this, that does take you to your 1.886. A lot of cryptos have been blasting right through their golden ratio and hitting the 1.886. I suppose we could find resistance right here, but it doesn't make sense to me after consolidating all these years to stop at a minimum target here, right? Below your minimum target here even. I would think that you at least would see the average altcoin grow about 230 to 250% from here, let alone if we drop lower this week, which I suspect we will, so it'll only grow more. And that's at the minimum kind of target area. We could see the average altcoin go, do a 4x or a 5x. It's possible. Maybe more than that, right? But probably not in the month of March. That'll probably take more time as we hit those higher levels. But inevitably, we will see the others market cap reaching 1.65 billion or 1.65 trillion. I'm sorry, 2.79 trillion. I think that the others market cap will go all the way up to this $6 trillion level. We're at $240 billion now. So we are not done with the bull market. There's a lot of growth to go. If you guys don't understand what I'm saying by the others market cap is going to go to $6 trillion, what that implies is the average altcoin will grow from the current price, whatever your current price is, the average altcoin outside the top 10 will see a 24x by the end of this cycle. That's the expectation, at least that I have. I think that we are going to go right to this 2272 by the end of the cycle. But that's months away. That's at the end of this year. That could be the beginning of 2026 even, right? Bitcoin's bull cycle probably ends at the end of this year, but altcoins can run afterwards, right? A lot of people don't remember that because they're traumatized from last cycle, right? A lot of altcoins topped off before Bitcoin did last cycle. A lot of altcoins topped off in May. Most of the market, though, the others chart here, it topped off in November as well. But oftentimes we actually see the altcoin market top off 1 month after Bitcoin, right? And in fact, here, May was the top for most altcoins, or for a lot of altcoins, maybe not for most, but for a lot of altcoins, May was the top, and Bitcoin had its relative top, which was the end of the bull cycle. It wasn't the all-time high, but it was the end of the bull cycle. It had its top in April. So even last cycle, we still topped off. It was kind of unconventional because the actual high came here, but that was the end of the altcoin cycle. Nonetheless, happened to be 1 month after the end of Bitcoin's cycle, even though we did top off later. I'm just trying to say by that definition, I expect Bitcoin to top off by the end of this year, somewhere in October or November specifically, which could mean that altcoins top off a month later, or maybe more than that, maybe less than that, but something later in this year. It's only the end of February. We haven't even gotten into March yet, you guys. Do not let this month, this negative 27% month sour you, right? If it has, I understand, right? Crypto's not for the faint of heart. It's not for everybody, but the good times are about to roll. And I strongly suspect that anybody they've had it, they're like, I'm done. No more. I'm done with crypto. Screw it. I'm out. We've probably got a higher population of people like that down at these lows than we've had throughout the whole cycle. And generally, that's whenever we do start to rip. Generally, whenever the crypto fear and greed index is at low points like this at the 29, I mean, the last time that we saw this, if we go here, the last time we saw a 29 read or anything of that magnitude was here. And that was literally in August, September, late August, early September. You guys remember what happened with Bitcoin in late August, early September? I remember what happened. Late August, early September, we bottomed out, right? That's what this was. This was early August, sorry. Late August, early September, that's whenever we bottomed out here. We started moving up, right? We were getting ready to phase up. We found our higher lows. We were at our relative lows of this overall range. That was the last time we were at these lows in the fear and greed index. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw lower levels in the fear and greed index. It wouldn't surprise me either if we just bounced here, you know, and I shouldn't say if we bounce here, but we bounce somewhere near here for Bitcoin and for cryptos. But I actually do suspect that Bitcoin itself drops lower. I think that we will see a price that's below this low. Once we see that, that'll cause massive capitulation to anybody that bought up here and had it in their mind that you can't go below this low if you do, the bull market's over. As soon as that happens, bull market's back on. Just kidding. You can break these lows and still have a overall higher low and continue, right? It's not as big of a deal as people make it out to be. And that's likely what happens. We need a capitulation event to occur before we start to pump again. And this is on its way. It's probably capitulated a few people, but we probably have a little bit lower to go. So I'm going to stop talking. I think I've said enough. If you guys like the video, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. Good luck, everybody out there. Altcoins, Bitcoins, all of them, they're on sale right now. If you can hold the line, if you can wait, if you can just stay your emotions, maybe. If we have a green day today or a green day tomorrow, cool, that's great. I suspect we still go lower. So I think there's one more move to go down. I'm still holding a lot of my cryptos, man. I mean, I haven't touched anything in the long-term holds that I've been holding for over a year, that I've been adding to. I haven't touched any of that stuff. So if we move up, if this is the low and I can't snag some extra cryptos at lower prices for some short-term plays, whatever, I'm going to be fine, right? I hope you're in the same position too, right? Be prepared. Nobody in their right mind should be fully out of the altcoin markets or the Bitcoin markets right now. Make no mistake, friends. It doesn't seem like it, I know, but we are in the middle of a bull market, and it is much more risky to be sitting on the sidelines in the middle of a bull market than it is to be deployed, fully deployed even, and being aware that the market's going to crash another 5 to 16%. It's more risky to be fully out, because even if we expect it to go lower, even if the TA and the sentiment and everything makes sense, we could just rip like that tomorrow. We could go, you guys, we could be at prices above 100K for Bitcoin. We could see new all-time highs for the majority of the altcoin market. It could take as little as a week. It does not take much time. So with that in mind, do not sell your cryptos, right? If you've got some short-term plays, some smaller positions that you want to do, you know, like what, none of this is financial advice, not a financial advisor, right? Do your own thing, whatever. But just in my experience, right, and this is my third bull market in crypto now, the worst mistakes I've ever made, the worst mistakes ever that I've ever made that hurt the most is not holding through a drop. It's not. It's selling because I think it's going to drop more, because the charts make sense it's going to drop more, because everything makes sense that we would drop at least another 20% or 5% or 10%, and I want to squeeze that lemon. I want to squeeze all the juice out of it, right, and get the most for it that I can, because I already missed a little bit. I helped through some of the drop. I want to get the most that I can and maximize my profits. That greed. Every time I've thought like that, that's whenever I get screwed up. But when I'm like, I don't care, let it drop. I'll buy more, and if it doesn't go lower, cool, I'm already involved. It can go up even if I can't lose. Anytime I'm in that position, I don't lose. I'm never unhappy. I am never emotionally frustrated, right? If you find yourself emotionally frustrated, my guess would be you're either bored, or more likely you're trading too much. There's nothing wrong, and that's the fallacy of us as human beings. That's the fallacy of our mind. We think to be successful traders, to be successful investors, you have to be constantly doing this. You have to be doing it all the time. If you're not in a trade, you're not a trader. But that's not the truth. Oftentimes, It's just setting it and forgetting it, letting the play out for you, not trying to do too much, right? Just trying to get into good positions, get out of good positions, right? And if you're doing the short-term stuff, it's more about letting an opportunity present itself than forcing an opportunity. So if that resonates with you, hopefully it resonates with some of you out there, and you can try and learn from it. But if it's your first cycle and you're just degen trading, you might have to do that on your own. You know, some people, myself included, hey, you know, my first cycle, you have all the advice. I had all the advice, all the right advice coming my way. I was aware of everything that I was doing wrong, and I still did it wrong anyways, right? Because I'm me. I can do what I want. I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna make money, right? I see this happening. I'm confident it's gonna happen. Why wouldn't I make these plays like this? Stop it. You're new. It's your first cycle. It's your second cycle. You're new. You're probably gonna make a mistake, and the best thing to do to avoid making a mistake is to just be deployed in crypto in a bull market. It sounds super easy, I know, but when you throw your emotions in the mix, it can complicate things. Don't complicate things. Don't overcomplicate it. It's easy to lose money in crypto, but it's very easy to make money in crypto too. Just if you don't mess it up yourself, right? What was that? There was one thing I was going to say before I ended the video here, and I can't remember. I don't remember what it was, but anyways, take it easy, my friends. Have a good day. Hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.